the mother of foresight. Think about that. Fear is the mother of foresight. Thomas Hardy said that. So if that's the case, which I believe it is, then in order, we have to go through hell to get to insight. How many here have ever been up the night before, kind of panicked and can't sleep because you have a speech the next day? Yeah, me too. But then what happens is you come in here, you give the speech, and afterward you go, well, no, that wasn't so bad. In fact, that was kind of fun. I think I like that. I'm going to do it again someday. But and eventually you do, and you'd go through it again, all that anxiety the night before. So why does that happen? As I said, no one ever died. Why does that happen? It happens because we're human. We're human, and there are certain things in life that trigger anxiety. And it's not just public speaking, but there are things that happen that your body goes into flight or fight mode. One is new and unknown situations. We are creatures of habit. We hate going out of our comfort zone. We love knowing what's coming next, just like the 3-year-old toddler. That never really leaves us. So what happens is, we don't know what's going to happen when we get up and speak. The world may explode. The universe is going to expand and be done. Something horrible may happen, and your mind extrapolates it out. So the fear of the unknown is something that public speaking really incites in us. The bigger one is the risk of failure. Oh my gosh, what if I get up there and I forget what I'm going to say, or something horrible happens? I have a little story for you, and I know I'm not supposed to use notes, but I'm not going to read this, but I took some notes, and I want to make sure I get every little point in the limited time we have. I want to tell you this story. True story, this happened at the Comedy Store in La Jolla. I was there on an open mic night one night, and for once in my 5 minutes, I was just killing it. I was on fire. Everything I said or did, they just loved it. So all of a sudden, I hear this mumbling, and I look down, and in the at the apron of the stage, at the table right in front, there is this enlisted guy, a Navy guy, and he's a little drunk, and he is heckling me. And he's with a really pretty blonde girl, and she's kind of on her way to Sloppy Town too, and and every time they say something, it's hard to hear, but it is interrupting me, so I sing them back. But the problem is, he is so drunk that he's too stupid to even notice or to be embarrassed by what I'm telling him. So this is quickly eating up my stage time, which, when you're working your way up, you want to get on stage as much as possible, and now this yahoo is interrupting me. But as luck would have it, the synapses in his brain did fire long enough for him to string together a coherent sentence. And that coherent sentence, loud and clear, was, "I'm going to come up on stage and kick your ass." And I look down, and he is starting to crawl up on the stage, and then bouncers come from nowhere and tackle Popeye to the ground. And all of a sudden, tables fall over, drinks are spilled, patrons go to the side of they're like this, they go to the side of the wall, and the sailor fights back. Oh. These two great big burly guys, and I'm standing on the stage watching all of this. And it's just a brawl that the NHL would be proud of. Talk about a failure. So I could just sneak off stage and just be done, but I had a mic in my hand. So what I decided to do is give commentary as if I were watching a horse race. So it was like this, and they're off. And the big guy with the tattoo with the dragon on his arm is an uppercut sailor. Oh, glass jaw, big blood exploding. And the audience did not know what to do. They were looking at this and kind of looking at me and laughing, but didn't want to get hit. And finally they subdued him and took him out in a headlock, and he was yelling horrible things, but the police were waiting for him, so it was all good. So I finished my set. I did another minute just to wrap it up, and when I was done, I got a standing ovation. when you're worried about that, when you're worried about the risk of failure, I've been 10 minutes.
No, 5.
I'm 10,
Oh.
I'm 10, 12 and a half.
12 and a half, 15.
Anyway, that I'm shocked there. The risk of failure, when that's taken away, you have nothing to lose. So you might want to think about that. What's the worst thing that can happen? I guarantee you there will not be a brawl in here. I hope at any time that anybody is up here talking. The potential for looking foolish. By virtue of the fact that you're up here, you're not going to look foolish. Everybody takes their turn coming up here. But then you think about, well, what if I'm speaking somewhere else? Think about this. The fact that you have been asked up to speak, okay, the foolish thing is gone right there. Somebody wanted you to do what you're doing, so they're not going to expect you to not do it. It's the only time that you could think, oh, I might look foolish, is if you jump up and decide to speak when nobody's like, who is that person? So the risk of looking foolish is minimal. You would have to do something really, really crazy, and I guarantee you those anxiety triggers won't let you do that. And the possibility of boring an audience. Nobody wants to be irrelevant. Nobody wants to think, oh my gosh, they don't care what I have to say. I guarantee you, the picture of you in your head versus what they're seeing are completely opposite. They're seeing a professional person coming up there imparting information. You're seeing somebody who is emotionally naked. And you got to just get that out of your head. So these are anxiety triggers, whether it's public speaking or not. There's other things in life that trigger these, but public speaking, unfortunately, has the market cornered on it. So what are the symptoms? Well, increased heart rate, you can feel your heart pound. Sometimes you can even hear it in your head. You get flushed. Maybe your neck and your arms are flushed, and then of course you're thinking, oh my gosh, I look like a big neon cherry up here, and everybody is looking at me. It just feeds and feeds itself. Butterflies in the stomach. I still know many comics who are so nervous before they go up, they go in the bathroom and they have dry heaves. They don't literally throw up, but they feel like they're going to. And then you say to yourself, well, why do you put yourself through that every time? And they go, because it's fun. It is. Once you get up there and you're a success, the aftermath of that is so rewarding. But then they think, I'll never be that good again. So they go through it every time. That's a whole nother talk. Incontrollable shakes. So you've seen people where they're going, and sometimes you can even hear the paper. That one, number one, put the paper down. And if you say, well, I need the paper, you probably don't, because something is going to come to your head. Something will come into your head. And you go ahead and you say it. Because if you're prepared, it's going to have some semblance of what it is you're supposed to say. And lightheaded and dizziness, there are people who think, oh my God, I think I'm going to faint. It won't happen. It won't happen. Your body will not let you do that. You may feel like it, but your body is going to do everything it can to keep you conscious, unless you're ill, and in that case, you should not be up there in the first place. So, how can you manage this anxiety? Practice, practice, practice. It's how do you get to Carnegie Hall? There's no other way. There is no way you're going to get up here and feel and look smooth without practicing. Practicing in front of a mirror is a great way to start. I used to do that when I was in college. I actually would get an empty toilet paper roll and stand in front of the mirror and do my thing. And it was horrific at first, because all I could see was this goon making faces. But after a while, when you do it often enough, you start to look beyond that. And what you see is, you see body movement, you see facial expression, you notice timing, you hear things that you wouldn't hear if you weren't looking. Practicing in front of a mirror is really, really important to do. You just got to get over that initial, oh my God, I can't believe that's me. But you will. Rehearse in front of family and friends. Okay, I think the friends part is good. The family, I don't really agree with that. Because one of two things are going to happen. They're either going to go, you're awesome, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you are just killing it it out there when, no, that's not true. Or you're going to take offense at the first little thing they say. Even if it's constructive criticism, you're going to go, oh my gosh, they hate me. They hate me. So I would, instead of family, whoops, oh my goodness. And the other thing is that you've got to, well, just leave that up there. You've got to know how to use one of these. I would practice in front of your dog. I know that sounds weird, but think about it. The dog loves you. It's engaged. It looks at you. When you move, its head follows. You make eye contact. I'm serious. I'm serious. The dog works. So instead of family, get an animal. Deliver your speech before your Toastmasters club. I'm not even going to elaborate on that because that one's obvious. Give presentations before other groups wherever you can. PTO, Rotary Club, Community Council. If you're on, even if you're not a member of these, you can go be a guest speaker. Speak in front of City Council or the school board if you have something that you want to bring to attention. Anywhere that you think would be a safe place. And granted, City Council or school board or county commissioner or whatever may not be a safe place, but then that's a good way to go to the next level. They are going to let you speak, but then afterwards they're going to ask you some questions. So it's table topics right there. So it's a very good way to get your practice in. Okay, so how do you manage the anxiety? The best way, there's two ways. The best way, I think, is visualization. You can actually trick your brain. So what you can do is picture yourself, and this is not like right before you go up, but maybe a day before or 2 days before. Do it more than once. Maybe right before you go to sleep when you're in bed. You picture yourself walking up, shaking hands with whoever introduces you. You address the audience. You take a deep breath. You do your speech. You're brilliant. They all love you. Oh my gosh, we want to take you home with us. You're done. You bow. And you go off stage to a standing ovation. You picture that over and over and over again, and eventually your brain is going to believe it. Your brain will believe it. And that way, when you do go up, your brain goes, I'm familiar with this. The other way is relaxation. Isometric exercises. If you hold your tension in your shoulders, before you go up, tense your shoulders, then relax, tense and relax. If it's your back, wherever your problem is when you have anxiety. But then what happens is, when you go up and your shoulders or your arms tense up, your body goes, oh, I get it. Now we relax. It'll do it. It'll do it. But you have to practice that ahead of time. Breathing. Have you ever watched somebody speak where they're out of breath and then they go, and then they try to keep going with very little breath? If you do that, maybe you actually will faint. But you can't, if you're running out of breath, it's better to do this. You know what? I need to take a deep breath. Actually, let's all take it together. Great, where was I? And then you keep going, because otherwise it's going to get uncomfortable for you and the audience. And always, always, always take a deep breath before you go on. So in conclusion, it's normal to feel nervous. We're human, of course. You'd be a cyborg or something if you didn't, but you just have to learn to deal with it. And it does give you a little bit of that edge. I want to feel a little bit nervous and on edge before I go up, because that keeps me on my game. It engages my brain and goes, okay, we need to pay attention here. Your audience won't notice if you screw up. Just go right over it. Now they are going to notice a brawl in front of you, but even then, comment on the obvious. If the light in the back fell, then, you know, oh look, God is weighing in. Something. Just say something to acknowledge it. And you find and use your own methods to exhibit confidence. It's that breath thing again. If you come up, and the first thing you do, even in front of the audience, is, that looks confident. That looks confident. And it makes you feel confident too. You watch professional speakers. I just got done with Mariel watching all the professional speakers at the conference. A lot of them, when they go up, the first thing they do is take a deep breath. You may not notice it, but if you look for it, you'll see it. So that's it. I look forward to seeing a lot of confident speeches in this crowd.